Today, we're going to look at the periodic table, and the very first thing that we're going to do is go through and color code each of the blocks. And so the periodic table is divided out several different ways, but one of the ways that we need to understand how it's divided is by blocks. And the way blocks work is that you actually go through and you can call it an S block, a P block, a D block, and an F block. And the reason I wanted to go through this with you today is that you can see how the blocks are divided. And because we know how the blocks are divided, we can actually give it a label for the electron configuration. So when you look at the periodic table, it is a little bit tricky to be able to do this. But what I suggest is find 4 different colors. I've got a pink, a green, a yellow, and a blue. It doesn't matter what you do, just make sure that you have a key. So we're going to start out with the yellow, and the yellow will be the S block. And so we're just going to put up here, I'm going to put a key so that I know that this is the S block. All right, and if that doesn't show up very well, you might want to write darker with it, but I'm just going to go through and I'm going to color these in. So the very first 2 columns, if you notice, we have column 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes all the way to 18. The one set that's actually left out is down here where we call it the F block, and we'll get to that in just a second. But we're going to go through and we're just going to make sure that all of these are colored in so that you see what they are. So everything in the first 2 columns, this is what we call the S block. And if you notice at the very top, there's actually one that's missing. And this particular one, most of the time, you actually see, sometimes you can pull up a periodic table and you'll see helium over here as well. But helium is also in the S block. So make sure that you get helium in the S block. And this will make sense as we go through some more of our lessons and we do just more with electron configuration in general, okay? So that is the S block. And just for reference, I am going to go ahead and put this with the darker color so that you can see this up here. But make sure that you are putting a key so that you'll remember this, because we're going to be using this throughout this. Okay, so that is the S block and it is yellow. All right, the next one I'm going to do is going to be called what we call the P block. P is in petunia. And once again, I'm going to put a key up here. The P block is everything in column 5 all the way over to column 18, and it goes all the way down. Now, that does not include helium. We just took care of helium in the S block. So everything in this whole region right here, every bit of this is the P block. I'm going to turn my paper sideways so I can do a good job here. All right, so that's the P block. The P block is very easy because it is actually just in one big block. The next block that we're going to look at, it's going to be called the D block. D is in, it will be delightful when we understand every bit of this. That's the D block, and it's everything right here in the center. So we're not going to worry about the bottom part right this second. We're just going to go through and get every bit of this. This is all D. Now, if you notice, once again, we see a cutout. We see something missing. And so if you look at a periodic table that's done a little differently than this, you're going to realize that the first 2, 78 and 89, also fall into the D block. So make sure you get these. And then everything else that is left over, this falls into the F block, as in that is fantastic. And that's everything that's down here. All right, once you get your paper completely color-coded, your periodic table completely color-coded, we will do another lesson on this, but it's really important that you have all of this done first because it's going to make learning our electron configuration just a little bit easier.